So one of the things, kind of similar to what other people have brought up, is maybe we're using the wrong terminology.
Absolutely.
We're using the tolerate and tolerate, that kind of thing, and maybe understand, accept, acknowledge. Like an analogy I was thinking of is, I can accept that people have different beliefs about the environment, but I don't have to tolerate somebody littering, that kind of thing. So maybe we're using tolerate and intolerance. Maybe we're using that incorrectly. And we use that, we put that out there, but maybe we're not using the right thing.
Yep.
I can understand that certain people have different views. I don't have to tolerate actions related to those views, especially if they bring harm to others. So I think just when you start talking about Jamie and politicians in general, I think there's a challenge in bringing them into the conversation, in that certainly they may not represent my views, but they represent the views of my neighbor. So when that conversation comes up, they got a broader perspective, and it may kind of complicate things a little bit, because my neighbor may love them. So
my neighbor's wife.
My neighbor may love them.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, not every elected representative is going to meet our views entirely. So that's a challenge. But anyway, go ahead.
I want to bring that up because I love my neighbors, both of whom are Republicans. One I know did not vote the Republican nominee. The other I don't know.
That means yes.
I don't know. I don't
They don't
know.
share their vote.
He's a deeply religious man, and I would hope that at least some of the deeply religious people in our community refuse to vote for somebody who espoused misogyny and violent racism. Xavier, you had something?
I think we're talking about all debates as though they're the same a little bit, right? But a debate about the capital gains, a debate about optimum tax rates, a debate about when and where to develop, a debate about prevailing wage, a debate about how we measure prevailing wage, those are fundamentally different than debates about humanity. Debates about my humanity, debates about anybody else's humanity. And it also means expanding our own understanding of what other people look at as an attack on their humanity, right? So I'll say this, I'm a Democrat. I'm a Democrat everywhere I go. I was at the Clark County Democrats booth a couple of weeks ago. A group of 5 boys from Battleground, juniors, seniors in high school, started coming up, throwing out racist, sexist, vile language, every slur you can imagine. And they came back 3 or 4 times to come be horrific and grab candy. But when I am, I'm out representing other people. I'm out representing my fellow Democrats. So, I say, I believe that you are entitled to the best possible public education, right? I believe that you're entitled to the best possible public education that the kids in Ridgefield get, because the kids in Battleground don't get the education that the kids in Ridgefield get. I believe that you're entitled to a job that has collective bargaining rights, right? That you should be able to form a union, that you should be able to raise a family, whether you go to college or don't, and that the resources should be there for you to choose to go to college, right? But that means I also have to believe that they can be better. I have to believe that these kids who, if they were born in Charlotte, might have been, to borrow a phrase, members of the Citronella SS, right? But I have to believe that they can be better, or else the experiment has to be over. If they can't be better, the experiment is over. So then the question is, how do you catch people when they're 50 or 45 and still voting on throwing slurs around and not valuing other people's humanity? And how do we broaden the discussion of, hey, an attack on someone's humanity is different than top marginal tax rate?
You catch them when they're 4 or 5. That's
Right,
what,
but there are
yeah.
lots of people out there who are no longer 4 or 5.
Right.
How do you do that? We don't need to. I mean, that's how I feel about it. We don't need the Trump voters. We're 60%. We need our people to show up and vote. And I don't think it helps us to be coddling neoconservative economic theory. I don't think it helps us to be coddling multinational corporate legal experts.
But George Zimmerman wasn't a state actor.
No,
And
George
Michael Graham is still dead.
George Zimmerman was the product of generations of destruction of our culture, of our society, through the means being the coarsening discourse and the race baiting and the destruction of the economic system that underpinned the poor in our country and the education system that gave those people some hope. George Zimmerman is a product of the dehumanizing aspect that we're seeing the full face of today in Donald Trump, but has a vein that runs all the way back to the inception of the party, to the inception of the party.